Thanks for joining the Dating with Katy podcast. I am back from vacay. I just took a long extended summer. I quit doing some podcasts. I still worked with my clients in my Cinqe Matchmaking, but I just enjoyed. I enjoyed my first summer married. I enjoyed, kind of my full first summer. I enjoyed hanging out with my kids, not having to do my hair and makeup to do a podcast. So thanks so much just for re-listening, binging, and all that you shared with me that you did. You know, creating content is not hard considering in the world of dating, there's plenty of content to be had. But at the same time, I can tell you from my side, I feel like there's so much content to be had out there that how much more do I really need to keep sharing with you guys? For example, I had somebody DM me and somebody ghosted him and he was like, what should I do? And I have to tell you, if you're a 20%er, you're one of my 20%ers, you're cool quality and you're ready for something real, a 20%er knows what to do. Like, I don't need a 17 podcast on the 7 ways that, you've been ghosted and here's 10 more of what you should do and this is why you were, like, I don't need that. Because here's the truth is that you date like an adult. I have a podcast called Dating Like an Adult. And if you date like an adult, number 1, you don't ghost. And number 2, you don't date people who ghost. So when they ghost, you bounce, right? I had to explain to him, you gently send her a text. She doesn't even need to have a call. And you say to her, hey, look, this is not the kind of relationship I'm looking for. I'm sorry, whatever happened, happened. I'm happy to have an adult discussion about it. But I'm going to pass. And if you'd like to change your mind or fill me in, I'm here, but I'll be moving on. That is called dating like an adult. There's one rule, and that's it. So sorry if I don't have 75 podcasts on ghosting, because all you got to do is date like an adult, and that is why we just keep it simple over at Dating with Katy, because we're the 20%ers. We're not in kindergarten. We don't need to be spoon-fed. We are graduates, and we're looking for our equal. All right, well, today, speaking of my equal, this is going to be a very personal story. I'm going to be sharing with you guys why we stopped having sex. No, I wish I don't do all those funny emojis and stuff on these videos. I will eventually one day, but those would be popping right now in some video of some girl screaming and some man being horrified. But this should be a very interesting topic for my Christian and non-Christian listeners. And look, if you're not a Christian, I still think you need to stick around because God's principles are great for everybody. There is truth to them. And truth is not gray. Truth is black and white. And so I think this will really ring true when you listen in. And guys, there's a strong word of warning and advice for you at the end. And ladies, there is one for you as well. So stick with me on this. And I just want you to grow from it and really be mindful of who and why we are having sex. All righty, well, let's get to it because I, try to keep these to 15 minutes and I'm a bit of a chatter. So I do want to say this too. It was my birthday this summer and I turned 48. I had a neon party. I asked everybody to wear neon, animal print or black. I figured not everybody will do neon. By the way, you can find anything on Amazon these days, so don't be frumpy at a party. If you're going to come to one of my theme parties, show up. Show up like you mean it. But somebody gave me this on my birthday, and I wanted to keep it, and it says success. And I know that I have great success in my life. I'm so grateful for it. But I want success for you, and I want success and love for you. That is one of my things. Get confident, be successful, and have fun dating. So do me a favor, get in my database, work with me, Dating with Katy, work with me. You guys know where to find me. It's not that hard. Google, work with Katy, database Katy, Cinqe Matchmaking. Great. All right, we're moving on. So let me tell you the number one reason why my now husband and I stopped having sex. We were in a stage where it was either get married or be done. We had dated long enough to know I'm not waiting around. I had a standard and I was looking for commitment. So ladies, some of you are like, well, I'm waiting for him. Why are you wasting your time? I wasn't going to go waste more of my time. Ladies, you shouldn't be wasting yours or his. So, make that discussion and let him know. I said, hey, look, if this is not going anywhere, I'm moving on. But it did go somewhere and he pursued me with amazing effort. I've got his little sign that he made me right over here with sparkles and stickers and everything. And he held it up at the airport. I think that's on a different podcast. But he did a great job. But I said when we were coming back together 2 things. There was a great men's group that I had heard about in Dallas. And I had known a buddy from LA who was party guy, had hired a matchmaker. And when I met with him in Dallas, I asked, what's up with this new you? You're like centered and you just have a different vibe. And he was saying he wanted a Christian woman. And I was like, whoa, where did this guy come from? And he said he was in a great men's group. And guys, I can't say this enough. Men need to hear it from men. Men need to hang out with men. If you are not hanging out with men in some like rawr kind of masculine way, you need to be in with those men. And this is why this podcast is so important. My husband started going to that. I said, that was number one. You got to go to this men's group or we're done. Like you need the camaraderie. You need the godly influence. You need, I mean, these guys are like black seals. Black seals, is that right? Navy SEALs, Black Swans, Black Ops. These guys are big and buff and gun-carrying Texans who love the Lord. And they talk about their, porn addiction. And it's not okay. And they talk about such amazing things that I can't really have that conversation, or can most of us ladies have it with you guys. So one, get involved in a men's group. There are some online. There is some great ones on the internet as well, on Instagram. I follow a few and I love them. Number two, I said to him, if we're going to get back together and we're going to do this, put a ring on it and get married, we're going to stop having sex. We're going to do it. Number one, this is my focus for today. Number one is we're going to do it God's way, because God's way is the best way. And we hadn't been doing it God's way. And that is where I knew I needed to draw the line. As a matter of fact, that was in about January, and a couple months before I joined a great little church, and I jumped in and I got involved. And if you're a Christian and you're still doing church from home, baloney. I call you lazy. Get your butt to church. I mean, unless you can't, you must be meeting with the believers. So anyways, and if you're not a Christian, go to church. Find a church. I'm telling you, it's so important to be in community, and not just like your workplace, like community where people are happy and joyful and growing and have EQ. So I had joined this church, and Pastor Megan, she and I think we were on our golf cart one day passing out some flyer for Christmas. And she's like, so are you having sex with your boyfriend? And I was like, dang, girl, spot on. I appreciate people who can call me out. I have no problem with that kind of thing. Now, some people get defensive and like, rah, rah, rah. I get like straight out like, okay, that's fair. I always think that's a fair question. And I told her yes. And she's like, well, that's wrong. I mean, you can't have God's blessing if you're living in sin. And it's just that simple. Biblically, if you're a believer, you know that sex before marriage is a sin. And it's a sin against yourself, which is a whole deeper level. We're not going there today. But it was really important that he and I not have sex. Now, this is point number two, is that I understand that you guys justified it. You justify having sex just like we did. We were traveling and missing each other. It's how we connected. It created closeness. It feels good. Well, of course it does, because God created it to feel good. It's supposed to feel good, right? But it's not for feeling good all the time with anyone. And that was the whole point of why God created it. So in that 6 months, I'm going to tell you this, we actually had a really difficult time connecting. So January, I give him the 2 ultimatums kind of. He jumps to it because he's such a good man. He's a man of integrity, and he's willing to learn and grow and do what's needed. And I mean, that's why he's so successful in business as well. But in February, we got like pretend engaged. He told me he was going to get engaged with me. But we took a minute. I think we got engaged in May because we were getting the rings made, yada, yada. But the point of the story was, throughout those 6 months from our engagement to our marriage, it was hard. It is exceptionally hard to connect with someone without the physicality of sex and that kind of intimate affection. And you know what? That was the point that God created sex to be, for after marriage. Because number one, the devil wants us to get in bed before marriage so that after marriage, we don't want to be in bed with that person anymore. And you've seen it all the time. You're all having sex before marriage, and then you get married, and some of you are divorced, so you get it, and you stop wanting to have sex with the person you're with, and it's like, it's a chore where you remember those days when it was hot and fun. Well, God doesn't want you to have those comparisons. He wants you to have a clean slate with the one person that you're going to be with, hopefully for life. Everybody I talk to really wants that ride or die. So we really need to keep that in mind. And during that 6 months, we had to learn to communicate in different ways. He didn't want to hold and hug me too much because it just kind of turned him on. And so I had to figure out, like, how do I still feel like I'm attractive to him without me getting that physical need that I so much, crave. And it was a very interesting time. We fought a little bit more because it was harder to discuss those things. Sex is already kind of hard to discuss anyway, then the lack of it and discussing why and why are we doing this. And, oftentimes too, if maybe you waited on your first marriage like I did, you think, oh, well, I did it the first round. I don't need to do it the second round. That's not what God says. And I don't think really that's in our best interest, because I'm going to roll into this next part. And this will be kind of for the non-Christians. I understand that you're like, well, Katy, I'm not a Christian. I'm not going to not have sex. I'm going to have sex. So do what you want, but it's not God's best for your life. But I'm going to tell you this reason number 3 is that you are still creating soul ties. And I've heard this topic brought up. People are like, well, Katy, you're creating soul ties with whoever you have sex with. But it's kind of one of those concepts that are like out there and nobody really can explain like what it does to you. Well, you're getting connected to people forever and yada, yada. And I just have never really loved it. I understand the concept of it, but not how is it going to ruin my life. But I'm reading a book right now and it's called Untangle. And it's by Terry Savelle Foy, and she's fabulous, by the way. Go listen to her. She's got an incredible voice. It's very unique. God made her that way. She's like, God made me this way. But this book is all about soul ties and how our physical affairs and sex and all of that creates these soul ties, and what it actually does, the damaging part of it that you may not be putting 2 and 2 together. So I'm going to share this next week. So you're going to want to tune into that. Anybody, Christian or not, it doesn't matter if you've had sex before marriage and you have had sex with people you really didn't want to, or you felt coerced, or it just wasn't right, but you did it anyway, or maybe you were in love with them and then they cheated on you, and there's just all these connections, right? You're like a Band-Aid that's been put on and then put on and then put on, and then it loses its stickiness. If you feel like you're kind of that Band-Aid, you're going to want to listen in, because this has been really a great book for me, and I really want to share this with you guys. And I had a girlfriend recently, and she hooked up with this guy who was the neighbor, and he was hot, and he made her charcuterie, and if he ever tries to invite you to his house on a first date, and I even had a girlfriend just recently get coerced to this, and I'll share that in a second, that is a shady guy, okay? Don't be going to anyone's house on a first date. My girlfriend drove all the way to Santa Monica for a date. She didn't mind doing the drive, and he says, park at my house. All right, right there, first date. So she comes up to his house. He's like, oh, I'm getting ready, but I'm kind of hungry right now. Can we eat right now and just eat at my house? Like, lazy. He didn't plan a date. And she stuck around for this. I was like, girl, I would have bounced. I would have been like, boy, bye. Like, if you can't plan a date, like, I know what you're already going to try to do. And those are the kind of dates you got to wear jeans, ladies. Like, make it so difficult. Wear like a jumpsuit. Like, don't even show up cute. If they're inviting you to your house, it's because they're douches. Like, pay for a date. First dates, second dates, third dates should always be out. Do not invite me to your house yet. But so sure enough, both of these girlfriends, one jumped fast. The other one got tangled into this guy, and it messed her up. And I got to deal with her drama for the next couple of weeks because he didn't call back and blah, blah, blah. It's like, girl, do you see what this does to your soul? Oh, but it made me feel so sexy and wanted. For what? For an hour? For 30 minutes? And then what? And then for the next 3 weeks, you're a disaster. So I'm just sharing with you that now so that you can join me next week if that's ever been you. And guys, I think you get like that too. Maybe don't talk about it as much, or maybe you've been that guy who does that. Not cool. All right, well, we're moving on to point number 4. And men, this is specifically for you. I was just on a text message with a Christian. He calls himself a Christian. He said, Katy, I was dating this girl, but she didn't want to have sex. She brought it up and she didn't want to have sex. And I'm like, why'd you have to bring it up? That's your job as a Christian male, to hold God's standards and be the leader, which I have now claimed. To be a leader, you need to learn how to lead her. Okay, I'm going to write a book on lead her, because you guys, you want that position of, I'm the leader in this relationship, but you're not doing the work. You're not doing the hard stuff, like leading her in the fact that, no, you can't have sex, because there's a reason, by the way. And women want to see this, and God wants you to practice this. It's because if you can wait physically for her until marriage, then that shows that you are a man of integrity. And in the marriage, that should roll over as well. So you're not going to be looking at porn. If you're, I don't know, call it sexually lazy, and you're just like trying to get it from all angles, from her, from porn, from whatever, well, when you finally do get married, you're going to be the same guy. You're not changed. You're nothing new. And ladies, I'm giving you a forewarning that if he's pressuring you into sex, if he is totally cool with it and he calls himself a Christian, you need to look him in the eye and be like, bro, that's it. We're done. You need to do what I did and be like, that's it. You need to grow in the Lord, and we need to stop having sex. Done and done. And I'm telling you, game changer. And if you're not a Christian guy and you are, thinking having sex before marriage is okay. I'm going to tell you point number 4, and ladies, this is specifically for you and for those guys, is that women should never give up their body until they can trust you with their heart. And I had to say this to a client of mine. He said, Katy, that we've been dating for a couple of weeks, and he's not a Christian, and that's, like he doesn't have the standard set that I would consider to be of goodness, of godliness, right? So he's like, she didn't have sex with me. And I go, well, shame on you. Like, why should she? First off, you're not even in a committed relationship. You haven't said that to her. So like, shame on you as the leader, because you're not leading her into something where her heart is secure. So why should she give you her body? Ladies, you never should be giving away your body. You are a valued commodity. If you don't know that already, I'm telling you, girl, you are worth way more than that. Don't be giving your goods. These are goods down here, okay? Down there, those are some nice commodities, and we don't give it away. They are to be earned and to be respected, and a man who will hold your heart, secure you, will wait for you, he is the one who's going to be worthy of that. So be encouraged, even by our story. Learn how to love somebody and connect with someone in other ways. And I think that will be to your benefit, especially in these dating stages. So until next time, guys, I will see you next week. Make sure you're in the database. I want you to get confident, be successful, and let's have some fun dating. All right, until next time.